Thanks for downloading the RealAg Radio podcast. If you enjoyed this program, 1, tell your friends, and 2, we got another show that you'll be interested in. It's called RealAg on the Weekends. It goes out every Saturday. It's broadcast across Saskatchewan on RealAg Radio on 650 CKOM and 980 CGME, as well as we podcast it as well. It's really a look at the week that was in Canadian agriculture. Make sure you check it out. It's called RealAg on the Weekend. Enjoy today's episode of RealAg Radio.
This episode of RealAg Radio is brought to you by high-performing new carbine insecticide from FMC. Carbine insecticide delivers fast, selective, and extended control of aphids in alfalfa and pulses, leaving beneficials like lady beetles to help in the fight. Ask your retailer today.
It's time for RealAg Radio on Rural Radio Channel 147 on Sirius XM. RealAg Radio and RealAgriculture.com is your home for insight and analysis of the issues that are impacting your farm business. Let's get real and get connected with RealAg Radio.
Well, hello and welcome to this April 6th edition of RealAg Radio. I am your host for the day, Lyndsey Smith. And yes, it is Thursday. It is time for a Farmer Rapid Fire. But before we get there, 2 very important things. 1, it's my father's birthday. He's not going to hear this, but I feel obligated to wish my father a happy birthday. He is in Winnipeg, even though I told him he can leave. People in Winnipeg don't seem to know that. So, Dad, happy birthday. You can leave. Come visit me. Except for maybe not today. So that's the other thing, of course, we have to talk about today, is this ridiculous weather that has come not just into Ontario, but heck, all over the U.S. and well into the States. So speaking of Winnipeg, my colleague Calvin Hepner, based just south of there, my family based there as well, wicked blizzard that came through. And I'm starting to sound like an old timer, but I'm just going to embrace it. But if anybody remembers 1997, it just so happened to be around this exact date, because it was also my dad's birthday, where we had that just horrible blizzard that came through and dumped snow upon snow upon snow. I know that we lost, I think, 4 or 5 vehicles in one snowbank parked at my house. My poor father had 4 kids, 3 of them teenagers at home at the time. We were socked in for 3 days, I'm pretty sure. Thankful for the wood stove, but it was quite the mess. And of course, what followed? Well, that was the flood of 97. So certainly this brings up some concerns for flooding in the Red River Valley and other places in and along that valley further south as well, not just Winnipeg, of course, down into the States as well. So that is on the radar. Now here in Ottawa, I am pretty thankful for our hydro crews that were out restoring power throughout the day. Yesterday, we got walloped by an ice storm. Now, I have experienced ice storms before, but nothing like this. I will tell you, I know I wasn't here, again, sounding like an old timer. I was not here for the big ice storm of 98, but this one, I'm going to guess, is the biggest one since then. It's definitely pretty scary to be outside when the trees are bent and the branches are snapping and cracking, power lines downed everywhere. It has been an adventurous 24 hours, let's put it that way. So I am thankful to have power. I am thankful for the internet coming back up so I could even record this show. So hats off to all the crews out there making this happen. But of course, now in southern Ontario, same storm system, but it fell as rain. And so we've certainly got some incredible amounts of flooding happening as well. This time of year, I mean, for places south, yes, the ground is thawed, but for many of us, we've still either got snow or very cold to frozen ground. So we've got some surface water runoff, definitely a mess. And if you listen to Wheat Pete's Word this week, Pete was talking about, the importance of having our soil stay put into the fall and, of course, into the spring. And how do we do that? Well, we reduce tillage for one thing, and for another, if you can keep it covered, that really helps, because right now, so that October to May timeframe is actually when the biggest water erosive events happen on our fields. And so realistically, the more residue, the more root mass, the more we have our soil covered heading into the winter, the more likely we can keep that soil where it should be when we have big rain or big runoff events like this. So definitely something to keep in mind. Okay, so it is Thursday. We're going to have the Farmer Rapid Fire. We're going to hit Ontario, jump to Saskatchewan, and end up in Alberta. So I'm super excited about that. As always, if you've got feedback on the show, you can call that RealAg feedback line, 1-855-776-6147, or you can absolutely zip me an email, lsmith@realagriculture.com. All right. So without further ado, let's get to the Farmer Rapid Fire. We're going to jump to Jay Lewis next.
It's now time for a product spotlight with Alpine, and we're joined by Steve McQueen. Steve, talk about Alpine BioK.
What it does for us is it allows us to increase metabolism within the plant. Using the acetate, how it enters into the energy basis within the plant. Not only does potassium increase ATP energy, but the acetic acid, the acetate itself, allows that plant to pick up a metabolism, which will increase the ability for plants to exudate into the soil, and in turn allow plants to use the nutrients from the soil and move them much more efficiently within the plant. We increase the microbial activity in the soils, and we know that it's a food source for them. And when you energize the soils and the microbials, you then take advantage of your compost, your manures, your dry fertilizer programs. And what we're able to do is just create a synergy, upregulate the plant, and we can use the nutrients to their utmost efficiencies.
Hey, Steve, if somebody wants more information, where do they go?
www.alpine.com or contact the DSM all across Canada.
Farming is one of the most demanding jobs in the world, which is why farmers deserve an advantage. The Pride Seeds Advantage. For maximum yield, tonnage, and return on investment, get best-in-class seed genetics together with industry-leading traits and seed treatment protection. Plus, you can work directly with the Pride Seeds team to get personal agronomy guidance and products designed to help you take full advantage of your seed's genetic potential. Visit your local dealer today or visit prideseeds.com to learn more.
Welcome back to RealAg Radio. I am your host for the day, Lyndsey Smith, recovering here in the Ottawa Valley from a ridiculous ice storm that stormed through here yesterday. So I hope you and yours are doing fine. Sounds like most of Ontario got just wicked amount of rain and water, but we are the lucky ones that lost power, lost internet, of course, and had to come back on. But several neighbors, even this late in the day, still waiting for that power to come back on. So I hope everyone has stayed safe. There will be a lot of cleanup to come in the days ahead, that's for sure. But the weather looks like it's going to turn suddenly to spring. So I accept that, Mother Nature. Thank you for that. Okay, we are, of course, doing the rapid fire today. And my first guest is Jay Lewis. But I wanted to mention that this segment is brought to you by Granny Boar. Granny Boar from US Borax. Ask for it by name. Joining me now from, do I say Holstein, Ontario? You're going to correct me, Jay. Jay Lewis. Where are you at?
That is what you say, Holstein, Ontario. Yeah.
There's a rodeo there.
July 1st weekend, we actually have the Holstein Rodeo, and we have the Eastern Canadian Sheep Shearing Championships on the July 1st weekend this year.
You guys know how to party in Holstein. Let's tell you. Okay, so halfway between where? I interrupted you.
Yeah, halfway between Owen Sound and Guelph, right on Highway 6.
Oh, there you go.
Just a one concession off of Highway 6.
Look at that. Do you know how big a concession is? This is just...
No.
I mean, nobody seems to know.
Like is that a 435, 635, whatever that thing is that Emma says once in a while? Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I grew up on mile roads, so I know what miles are. I don't know what concessions are. Okay.
Yeah.
Jay, you are a very busy man, and especially this time of year. We are headed into Easter. We got a couple other holidays. For us sheep people, us lamb producers, it is a very busy time. How are things with your setup? You run a feedlot. Tell us about what you run there and how busy you are this week.
So we run a lamb feedlot, and we also lamb a number of ewes. But we run I would call us a mixed farming operation. Really, that's weird. We also grow corn, wheat, soybeans, potatoes, and sunflowers, and We have a dairy cow barn, as milk cows as well, with the lamb feedlot and the beef feedlot. The past week has been, the past 10 days have been extremely busy with lamb deliveries and getting ready for the holidays. And I was told we were only allowed to say one word about sheep, but I guess if Mr. Haney's not here, we can talk about sheep for a while, can we?
I can't believe he told you we could only say one thing. How could he? I'm going to have words with that man. We're going to talk. The whole episode now. Every interview, I'm going to ask everyone about sheep. No,
about sheep.
Yeah, about lamb, eating it, raising sheep, whatever. Yep. Hang on, though. I want to back up a bit. You say you're a mixed farm, but it might be easier to say what you don't do rather than what you actually do. Because do you not have you solar graze as well?
Yes,
part of your operation.
Graze, yeah.
Yeah, you've got someone in your family has bucking bulls for the rodeo. You've got dairy.
Yes, we have bucking.
Okay. I find this fascinating. So where do they come from? Do you actually breed the bucking bulls or you just raise them and tour? What do you do?
The bucking bulls are my son Corey's operation, and we work for a Rawhide Rodeo Company. And we have rodeos all over Ontario and Quebec, and hopefully this year out in the Maritimes that we do. I think there's 30 or 35 rodeos that he has to attend. And so that was what he started as his operation, with a bull that he bought out of Alberta, out of a guy's place, and bred it to some longhorn cows that we purchased at a Rainy River at one time. And when he was 10, 12 or 13 years old, and he's just kind of growing that into his livelihood, I guess. He's trying to make a living at it. And we do breed. We breed for that, so we select bulls across the genetic pool, the same as you would do if you were buying to breed any other cows. It's the same thing. You can draw from the same pool. There's semen all over. So he has used yellow jacket semen. He's tried to buy bushwhacker semen, if it means anything to anybody, but
it will to some. But if we
it will,
but if we took it out of context, there'd be people who are like, "What is going on?"
Yeah,
yeah.
So what he does. It's
amazing.
So then he has a few bulls that he has bought, and he's used them as his herd sires throughout the flock and throughout the herd. I get confused too on whether they're herds once in a while. So,
I hear you. I do it too.
But yeah, so he's developed his bulls. Yeah, and we have our solar farm. We graze a few acres of solar at our farm at home, and that has helped with it was my dad and my late uncle's project when they developed this, and they were one of the first people probably to graze solar in Ontario.
I think they were. I think I don't know of anyone else who did. So you would be. No. I think they would be the first. Now you did mention sunflowers and potatoes, which I feel like you're in an area that neither of those are common. But when you grow sunflowers, are you actually growing them for like birdseed or oil market, or is this just a tourist trap?
No, it is all for. We grow them for oil.
Okay. But do you also no tourists?
at no point do we welcome tourists at this stage. There are tourists, and but right now it's not a part of the operation for the tourist side of it. If my dad was probably 15 or 20 years younger, or 10 years younger in this with the sunflowers and what we do, he would love the tourist side of the business. But I don't think that's probably going to.
Yeah.
We maybe have enough iron in the fire some days.
I was going to say, bless him. Dealing with the public is a special skill set. That is for darn sure. Okay. Now Sean be damned. We are going to talk a bit more about lamb because it is Easter coming up. And so you are incredibly busy. Now we also have Ramadan. There's also an Eid later this month. Like, this is an incredibly intense month for you. So what does that look like? You said you're bringing in lambs. Like, do you like ship and receive daily? Like, how busy are you this week?
We're shipping. We received most of our product within the last 3 or 4 weeks. So it's a ship daily.
Okay.
Right now. Yeah, but we're pretty well done. I mean, last week was last week was the busy week. The week of Easter generally is not near as busy as the week before Easter, and the same as with Christmas. Like, we do a lot of work for Christmas as well, and in December it's actually the whole month is very, very busy. Easter is condensed just to the one month. I thought that the Ramadan holiday this year would have had more of an effect on what needed to go on, but Ramadan has been scarily slow, actually. I'm a bit surprised.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if kill capacity is not there to handle it, or if it's a price variance. But I think the prices for small lamb is very respectable right now here in Ontario, and but the Ramadan price is probably still fair. It's just I'm not sure that there's enough capacity to get it all done for everybody in a cost-effective way.
Yeah. Okay. I have to ask everyone the question of the week. So there's 2 questions, and you have to pick one or the other. These are very hard-hitting questions, so I hope you're prepared. It is Easter coming up, which means Easter chocolate and Easter egg hunts. Do you get a solid bunny or a hollow bunny?
Oh, a solid bunny with the little Rice Krispies.
Oh, the Rice Krispies. I love those. Okay, I'm so glad.
Yeah,
okay.
Those are the best ones.
Yeah, they are. All right.
Yeah.
And the last question, the Easter cream eggs or mini eggs?
Oh, mini eggs.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Mini.
I'm actually surprised that I used to eat like an Easter cream egg at Easter. It's like a giant sugar bomb. I don't understand how I used to do that. Okay, those are excellent answers. I shall add them to the poll. All right, Jay, thank you very much for this. This is fantastic. I do know it is a busy week, so I do appreciate it. All right, and we're going to take a quick break, and I will be back with Mark Huston right after this.
As you head out into the field this season, the Corn School's got you covered. Everything from tillage discussions, weed control info, field trial results, yield strategies, and more. The Corn School on RealAgriculture.com has the information and advice you need to help you succeed. Brought to you by Pride Seeds and BASF. Corn School episodes are available at cornschool.com, from RealAgriculture.com, or as a podcast from your favorite streaming service. Download the latest episode today.
We are right here on the trade show floor at Commodity Classic. We got a product spotlight with Exotic, and right now we're talking to Tom Tragano. Tom, what does Invita do?
So Invita is a nitrogen-fixing bacteria that can fix nitrogen in all kinds of different crops. So beyond corn, which is the main focus for us, but we can fix nitrogen in everything from wheat to soybeans, and even some of the high-value crops like potatoes and sugar beets. What's unique about it is it fixes nitrogen right inside the cells of the plant. So we're not talking about, it's not inside the roots, so it's a foliar or an in-furrow application, and it gets basically systemic from the leaves to the roots, which gives the guys a lot of flexibility on how they use it.
If growers are interested in Invita from Exotic, where do they find it?
Best place to go is to talk to your local retailer. Another way to contact us is through our website, www.azotic-na.com.
Welcome back to Real Ag Radio. I am your host for the day, Lyndsey Smith, and this segment is brought to you by Solios.com. Grow more, risk less, realize greater yield potential, and address zinc deficiency while improving soil health. Solios Zinc delivers ROI you can count on and is backed with a product guarantee. Try it today. Learn more at Solios.com. That's Soileos.com. All right, joining me now is Mark Huston. How are you, Mark?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Lyndsey?
I'm doing just fine. Now, Mark, remind everybody, where are you based?
We're down here in the heart of southwestern Ontario, just outside of Thamesville, smack dab between the two rivers that are overflowing.
Okay, so it is a bit wet this week where you are.
It seems like it gets to the point where it almost dries out, and then we get another dash of rain. But yeah, it seems to be tough to get sun to stick around for very long down here.
So now we've got a bit of time. You know, we're early April. That's okay. But we could probably use the forecast to straighten itself out a little bit, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, it's not making me super keen and eager to start planting just yet with the forecast and the rain that's been coming around, which I mean is a good thing because you don't want to get ahead of yourself, but you get from ahead of yourself to running behind pretty quick around here.
Pretty quick. What would you say is your average starting planting date? Average-ish.
Usually we're first week of May, last week April, so we've still got a little bit of time.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so it's pretty, reasonable. Let's say that. You're not the earliest out there. Let's put it that way. What are you doing this week, though? So if you're waiting, too much water, not drying out, what are you doing to keep busy?
Well, we get to watch some kids hockey. That's finally wrapping up, and get to spend some time in the pig barn, which is always lots and lots of fun. Gotta love livestock, right?
I do. But at times, maybe not as much as others. But I will. So I am one who really appreciates what the hog does for my dinner plate. I really appreciate bacon and hams, especially it is Easter coming up. Easter ham is delicious. I don't love pigs though. So do you like working with pigs?
I am a fan of the pork that they provide. Mm-hmm. I am not always a fan of the lifestyle that they provide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're a lot of work. Piglets,
and they
though,
stink.
They do. Let's not try and sugarcoat it anyway. They're not the most nice smelling of the livestock. That's true.
But at least they're not chickens, so I'm fine with that, I guess.
Here we go. That's the list, is it? I worked in a chicken barn, so I don't know. I don't know which one's worse. Neither are good. Let's put it that way. Now, but I will say piglets are pretty adorable. So if you can work on the farrowing side,
they can be. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's
yeah.
Okay.
Now we're a straight finisher. We like minimizing our work as much as we can,
mm-hmm.
and that whole farrowing and taking care of mothers of piglets, it's like taking care of mothers of humans. Sometimes it can be a challenge.
It is, absolutely. It does simplify things to just do the finishing, right? Like just feed them out, you're good to go. Yeah.
In and out. That's how we kind of work things. Right?
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, okay. Spend some time in there. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but has the hog industry been not bad the past year or two? Like it's going okay?
It's had some ups and downs. We're kind of coming out of some lower prices as we get into kind of the peak season. Last year was a pretty good year if you kind of got to be able to discount feed costs and kind of the other incidental inflationary costs around the hog market. We saw some higher prices than we've ever seen. But with those, weaner prices were through the roof. Feed prices were through the roof, so the margins at the end of the year didn't end up being a whole lot bigger than they were in some of the other years. Mm-hmm. But over the cycle of the hogs, this has been a better year than others. So I think that's about as good as I can get.
That's pretty good. I think that's quite positive. Like it's for farming, maybe. Let's put it that way. It's a cautious optimism. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, let's hope this year we're hoping the prices get a little bit of a run up. Kind of what we're seeing in the grains and oilseed side, we're seeing a little bit of a run up in prices from some of the lows. So we're hopeful that carries in the hogs, but we'll see. I mean, it's a lot of ups and downs, being able to get hook space and having the ability to find processors. So
okay, so
you've got to have a little bit of meat on the bones.
Yeah, exactly. There has to be margin for everybody, right? So do you raise hogs typically to be slaughtered within Ontario, or do they leave the province?
We're lucky. We've got a small processor down here in southwestern Ontario that takes all of our hogs outside of the ones we do with our local abattoir. But yeah, we're lucky. We don't have to ship them out west or down into the States or into Quebec. So we're very lucky that way with the size we are.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's certainly the processing side is a challenging one. Absolutely. So kind of nice to be able to have something pretty local. What are you going to try any new crops or any new exciting things this year? New technology?
We're waiting on some deliveries of some equipment, so we're hopeful and exciting that might come. But the delays in the equipment business right now are so long that we're really not 100% sure we're going to be planning with new equipment. But we're hopeful by the time we get to next year, we'll have that new equipment, and it might even be this year.
That seems like a big what if. Like a whole year's difference? That's a lot.
Well, but when you're only using your planting equipment for, 3 weeks of the year, if it doesn't come in before that window, you've got a long waiting period before you get to try it out and get to use it. And
we're
you
tight
really
now.
Don't want to try and break stuff in the middle, right?
Right. Yeah, please don't do that.
I don't want to go through problem solving of trying to sort new equipment out as we're in the field trying to beat the rain that's coming in next week, right?
Yeah,
that type of stuff doesn't really get me excited.
No, I'm with you on that. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Although maybe, I guess, if it doesn't make it for this planting season and you get a little later, maybe you can play with it, try and work out some of the bugs in it before stress
That's
time
always
of
the
next
hope
year.
and the dream.
Right?
Yeah,
But that means extra
it never
time.
seems to work out that way. Right?
No. It's always the next week when things slow down, right? And then
we got lots of time. It's not going to happen for another couple weeks.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. No, so you certainly aren't. And I hosted the Farmer Rapid Fire just a few weeks ago, and certainly, I mean, it sounds like either parts or full pieces of equipment, whatever. I mean, there are more delays than would be typically average for sure. So I feel like we've solved, or some of our supply issues have been corrected, but we're not there yet. We're definitely not back to what we were.
Yeah, and I think we've also had a shift in prices too, right? The equipment that we're buying now versus the equipment we were buying 5 years ago, the fertilizers we're buying now versus the fertilizers we were buying 5 years ago. We've seen a big jump in those prices, and land values as well. But it has almost taken a jump as opposed to taking a nice slow gradual rise.
Yeah.
And we're hopeful that we might see some market corrections on some of those things, but with the tightness in supply for just about everything, it doesn't look like there's that opportunity to do those kind of value shopping where you had excess supply and kind of a lack of demand on some things. But I mean, if we've still got good demand from everybody, that means everybody's doing probably all right. And that's not necessarily such a bad thing either.
It's a good way to look at it. It is Easter this weekend, and I'm asking an Easter-related question, focusing on the chocolate aspect. We've mentioned Easter ham, but let's talk chocolate. My question this week is twofold. When it comes to a chocolate bunny, are you a hollow or solid bunny lover?
Well, why would you not go solid? I'm struggling with why you would want less.
There are a lot of hollow ones on the market. I'm just saying. Okay, so that's.
I don't disagree.
But why would you? It's less chocolate per bite. Okay, and then Easter cream egg or mini eggs?
I'm a cream egg kind of guy. I like the marshmallowy goodness on the inside.
I actually saw, completely aside, and this is obviously very important for radio, but a recipe for deep fried cream eggs. You actually
that
batter
just
them.
seems like it might be just a gooey mess, doesn't
right?
it?
But it looked kind of delicious.
It's not like a Snickers bar that you can deep fry. At least they're usually pretty solid. I can't imagine that cream filling is all that solid after it goes through a deep fryer. But hey, to each his own.
I might try it. I'll let you know how it goes.
I look forward to seeing the results.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Thanks so much, Mark.
Thank you.
All right, big thanks to Mark for joining me on the show today. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to head to Saskatchewan to talk to Mr. Jeff Bennett, and I'm going to ask him all about his incredibly scary bison.
If you grow soy or edible beans in Ontario, you know that Sclerotinia white mold is no joke. Yield loss can be devastating, and timing fungicides can be complicated, but did you know there's a new seed treatment that can help mitigate yield loss? Start the year off with your best foot forward against disease. Ask your seed supplier or local Agrimart group to pre-treat your beans with Heads Up. Part of a complete white mold management plan, ask your seed dealer about Heads Up today or visit headsupst.com.
How's your seed quality? What should you treat with? What about herbicide carryover and environmental concerns? Spring is here, and you've got a lot of things to think about in regards to your pulse crop. The Pulse School on Real Agriculture has information and advice for all these questions and more to help you navigate this season. Brought to you by BASF. Pulse School episodes are available at pulseschool.com, realagriculture.com, or as a podcast on your favorite streaming service. Download the latest episode today.
Whether you're seeding, harvesting, or anything in between, the Wheat School on RealAgriculture.com has you covered. Timely agronomic information from industry experts available online anytime. Give your wheat crop a good start and a great finish with the Wheat School on RealAgriculture.com. Brought to you by C&M Seeds, Syngenta Canada, and the Alberta Wheat and Barley Commission.
Hey, welcome here to RealAg Radio. I am your host for the day, Lyndsey Smith. And of course, yes, it is Thursday, the Farmer Rapid Fire. This segment is brought to you by Heads Up Seed Treatment. Protect your beans from Rhizoctonia root rot, white mold, and SDS with Heads Up. Visit your nearest Agrimart location or visit headsupst.com to learn more. All right, as promised, we head to Saskatchewan and we talk to Mr. Jeff Bennett. How are you, Jeff?
I'm doing excellent. How are you?
I'm doing well. What is happening over in Dodsland?
It's still winter.
Yeah.
We had a nice snowfall, but we had some decent temperatures, and places where things were thinner were starting to get a little bit bare. And then it snowed. I mean, not much, but it snowed again 2 days ago, and it's now minus 20. So I guess winter's still here for a bit longer.
What the heck, prairies? Like, it seems it's not just where you are. There's several areas, but it's not just that it's still snowy. It's darn cold.
Like, it's so cold, yeah.
I'm not a fan.
The sun's up when it's supposed to be and in bed when it's supposed to be, and it's still winter out.
There's no heat in between. Now, have you been whereabouts in Saskatchewan? For those listening, are you a typically drier area?
Yeah, we're on the verge of drought pretty much every year.
Okay.
So it's the snow is welcome. It's been really, really dry the last few years. I'm hoping that with these foggy winter days, that means that maybe we'll have some rain this spring. I'm gonna subscribe to that.
Okay, cool.
Old ladies or folks
folklore.
Yeah. We haven't had fog in a few winters, so I'm thinking that's probably going to do it.
Okay. We'll write this down. And then what is it, like 90 days after or something? Is it supposed to be 90?
I think it's 90.
Okay. So
90 days after.
Set a reminder in your phone and see if it's right. And then, because Sean...
The local retail did that, actually, and it's like a 90% accuracy. Mind you, it's a wet spring, so maybe that has something to do with it, but...
Irrelevant. This is completely scientific, and it's fine. Okay, well, so we'll see. We'll see if that actually happens. Now, how are the bison?
They're good.
Yeah?
They're pretty hands-off. We don't do a whole lot. We feed them, 3 or 4 times a week, and the calves are weaned in a little bit later than normal. They were weaned in January, so we just had to clean a bunch of snow out of the corrals, and then we weaned and got the calves off. So that's pretty much all they have to do in the winter, just be fed. They take care of themselves.
So when will you calve again? Sorry, when will the bison calve again?
When nature intended.
So
April, May.
So you just leave them as a herd, like you don't take bulls in and out, and you just leave them.
We don't. We have 2 bulls. We only have about 27 cows out there. So 2 bulls, and they sort of grew up together. Mm-hmm. So one of them will have to go down the road, and we have another one in there. So it'll be a little bit of a staggered process with them. But we've had some decent luck with calving the last couple of years. But before that, we had a few open cows, so it's never a good thing.
No. How long is their gestation? Is it the same as
cows?
Domestic cows? Yeah. Interesting. So 9 months-ish.
Yeah.
roughly.
Yeah.
You could get into days if you really want to.
I don't.
Okay, cool. Me neither. But, well, with sheep you do. See, I'm allowed.
I don't know.
I'm allowed to talk about sheep one more time. Sheep we talk in days, but anyway, it's because it's such a short gestation. Nothing like pigs, but you know. Okay, so you just leave them as a herd. Yep. How long? Like, when will a bison heifer have her first calf? Usually
2 years.
Okay.
Usually.
And do you manage them differently, or you really do just let them be like nature designed them?
Well, like we wean our calves, so they're just about a year old. And so some of them will be sold. Some of them will go back to the herd potentially. It depends on how we did during separating. Mm-hmm. And some of them will just sort of be finished here on the farm, or we'll take them. Trailer will come and take them to be finished in a more of a intensive feeding program with someone else, but they'll be sold as live animals. So we typically replace cows within our own herd. So, I mean, that's where the switching back and forth between bulls becomes tricky in there a little bit too. Mm-hmm.
Because, like, I just, in my mind, and you can tell me how wrong I am, but I have seen a bison up close. They're incredibly large. And I see, like, how do you keep track of, like, do you tag them? And are you paying, like...
They're tagged.
Yeah, like, so you have...
Yeah, they're tagged as calves.
Oh, God,
like
that still sounds terrifying.
Really... Well, yeah, they're strong animals.
They are.
But they're tagged as calves, so they're tagged, so they're born in April, May, June, somewhere in there. And they're be like October, November is when we would, go put the whole herd through. Mm-hmm. We don't put our bulls through. We just when we get them all within the holding pens, we pull them out with oats. They usually come out fairly decent, and so they don't go through the system. But the cows, the cows just go right through. So the cows get stopped and they get what they need and tagged. And sometimes we'll maybe try and stop a cow if she's got a horn that's been deformed and needs to be cut off, or we've got a tag that needs to be redone. But typically it's very much get them out of there as soon as possible. Yeah.
Stress. Well, I guess it's an adrenaline rush. I don't know. Goodness, you were very brave.
It's about a week of work for about an hour and a half of intense work, and then they're all out and gone.
Yeah. So I guess maybe on the grand scheme of things, if you average it out, that's not bad for a whole year.
No.
Yeah.
Very much less intensive than most livestock operations.
Yeah, I would say so. Now, you do, of course, have cropland as well, and in an area that you would grow. I think we've had some lovely discussions about pulses, but what's in the lineup? Yeah, wheat, your favorite. What's in the lineup?
Yeah. I've got wheat and barley and canola as my main three, and I'm begrudgingly growing one field of lentils.
Right, because you want to stay humble, or?
No, I don't want to. I try to make money.
Right.
Doing this farming thing, and lentils, while they've maybe not lost every year, they're not. It's really hard to grow, $1 on single-digit lentil yields.
Right.
So this one hasn't had lentils very often, and it's not a very wet field, so I figured I'd throw it in there.
Okay, you're gonna roll that, and so that is really for rotation of the other crops. Is that why you're begrudgingly keeping it in the rotation? I don't
know what I would put on there that wouldn't be pushing any other crop rotation with them. So
that's what you're gonna do.
It fits to keep them in there, and it's probably the least diseased field that there is on the farm. So
away you go. Now, with barley, are you growing? Do you ever try and make malt barley, or is it feed?
Always.
You always?
I always try to grow malt barley.
And do you get there, is the question.
Most years.
Well, that's pretty good.
Years. We've had a really good streak for a while, and then the wet years kind of threw that out, and then now it's been really dry, so the malt they've taken as malt because no one grows barley.
Right.
And they need something, so they've made the mistake of telling me what crap can be made into beer. And in the years where there's good fields, it's like, why can't you make this into beer then?
Yeah.
So we'll see. But yes, mostly we do try for malt every year.
And then with the wheat, do you do feed wheat or are you going after the protein?
No, it's protein usually.
Yeah.
We don't usually we try and push the yield and the protein a little bit, so it gets a little bit expensive. But
it does.
And we hadn't grown wheat forever until a few years ago, and it's been in the rotation. And again, with taking lentils mostly out, got to grow something, and I can't grow half my acres into barley. So wheat makes the cut again, and it's probably still my second least favorite crop besides lentils. They've really moved up the ranks of
They really ticked you off. Yeah.
Yeah.
So was bringing wheat back in strictly because the wheat board was eliminated in 2012?
Mostly.
Yeah, okay. Just thought I'd check.
I was pretty little back then.
But, but some of these beliefs run deep, So, oh, come on. Yeah. You can't be that young. Oh, maybe you can, she says. All right. Yeah, no. We can pretend that's why. All righty. Okay. Well, I hope that you have a good week. Are you done moving grain and everything? This is just holding pattern till things warm up?
There's still grain that's probably going to have to be moved when road bans are on,
right.
So I won't be able to move it, or they've already moved the limits down. So anything to get out is going to be more expensive. Which again, we'll see how that goes. But hopefully seeding in a month.
Everyone keeps telling me that that's going to happen, and for your sake and for mine, I hope it does. But I am sitting here looking out at snow as well, even though we live very far apart, and I don't think it's gonna. I think we're in for a late one, so I'm hoping to be proven wrong.
I would be okay with starting later because it's too wet.
Yeah. Yes.
That's something I hope for.
Okay. Well, then I hope that for you, and I just hope for warm weather for me. And
we have an accord.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, Jeff, we know the interview is over because I'm going to say cheers. That's the official.
That's a RealAg thing.
That's a RealAg thing. Yeah. So cheers to you, Jeff.
Cheers to you too.
Cheers indeed. Okay, thanks to Jeff for joining me on the show today. One last break, and then we head to Alberta to talk to Scott Keller.
If farmers know one thing to be true, it's this. There are a lot of factors you can't control. The weather, breakdowns, and a million other variables standing between you and a successful season. But for all the uncertainty, you wouldn't change a thing. Because that's farming. And that's why Koch Agronomic Services wants to make life on the farm a bit more predictable. From nutrient management and protection to seed enhancement, get the confidence of being in control. Visit kochagsolutions.com.
Canola is more than just a pretty face in the prairie landscape. It's a big business, both here and around the world, that requires you to be informed and up to date on everything it takes to grow a successful crop. The Canola School on RealAgriculture.com has an expert library of video resources covering markets, agronomy, and more to help you grow a healthy and profitable canola crop. Visit canolaschool.com today. Brought to you by BASF Canada and Invigor Hybrid Canola.
And on to our final segment on this RealAg Radio for this April 6th. I am your host, Lyndsey Smith, and this segment is sponsored by Koch Agronomic Services, creators of Anvol Nitrogen Stabilizer. Defend against volatilization, boost efficiency, accomplish more. Learn more about Anvol and other nutrient management, nutrient protection, and seed enhancement solutions at kochagronomicservices.ca. All right, for our final stop on the rapid fire, heading now to New Norway, Alberta. I've got Scott Keller on the line. Scott, what's keeping you busy this week?
Hauling some malt barley today, so did that all last week as well. So getting some grain moved before things get soft on the roads and the yards. So
nice. So how far a haul is it? Where do you deliver to for malt barley?
Ours goes to Rar Malt at Alex, so it's 75 kilometers one way.
Oh, that's not bad.
Nope.
Yep.
not too bad at all.
Yeah, could be a lot worse. How long have you been growing malt barley?
Oh, man. Since Jesus was a boy, I guess. Dad's been growing it forever. I don't think there's ever been a time we haven't had barley on the farm. I remember as a little kid, they were growing Harrington back then, and, he bought a grain dryer in 95 to get the barley off better and started straight cutting it then. So, yeah, it's been a really long time. So I wouldn't even know
when it started. So it's like a staple of the farm for sure. So
it is.
What is it about where you are and the management on your farm that makes it so good at making malt?
We're never usually too dry, so we can get dry, but not like Southern Alberta dry, where then the plump and the protein can be an issue. At least for our maltster, they sell primarily into the craft market, and the specs have to be a little bit better than what would just go to an adjunct brewer or for export. So they're looking for that over 90% plump and protein under 12, or I think the contract says 11.5, but they'll usually accept it if it's around 12. So, so we usually will get quality that way, and because we have a grain dryer, we take it off tough and dry it and then store it. So, in this neck of the woods, you can't manage malt barley by swathing and combining it with any long-term success. It'd take a lot of luck. So a grain dryer really is important for consistently having malt.
It would take an incredible amount of luck. All I can see in my mind is the swaths just turning green from all the sprouts. That's all I can see.
Yep, that's something I remember as a kid.
Yeah.
I think that was probably part of because they were, back then, everybody swathed always, and I think, I don't know if Dad was one of the first, or he was pretty early at getting a straight cut header, that was for sure. Just because then you wouldn't have the swaths growing into the ground. So,
yeah, I just see it. Now, do you worry about lodging? Is lodging an issue?
Yep. Oh, yeah, lodging. So we've been doing VR on our farm with the fertilizer since 2009, and that definitely made an impact. And before that, 20 years ago or more, we were seeding based on 1,000 kernel weight. So your plant population, you get it too thick, it's going to increase your risk of lodging. You get your nitrogen rate too high, it's going to increase your risk of lodging. So, both those things have meant that we're less prone to lodging than if you didn't manage that, but it still was a crapshoot. It really only took a good storm in early July to lay the crop over. So, now we can use Modus for a PGR that's approved by our maltster, and we've been using that ever since it is approved. And it's a fantastic product for taking another step towards controlling lodging. We have used it and had lodging before, but for the most part, it's much better. Because if you start getting lodging that leads to second growth, then it can be a real disaster to try to get malt. You got to deal with that green growth, and your plump is going to be low. So, and then boy, if you get any rain at all during harvest, then your level of chit goes up, and if it gets bad enough, then you'll start to see sprouts, and you're going to be rejected. So, it's just another cog in the wheel to lead towards just better malt management. Having it's something that I was asking our maltsters steady for over the last number of years, knowing that they were using it in other countries around the world, and basically they said, yeah, we'd love you guys to be able to use it, but it's not registered. So it took, a company like Syngenta to seek registration on that for Western Canada on barley, and now we have it as an option.
Yeah, makes a huge difference. Chit, by the way, is one of my favorite words in regards to it's a great word, chitting.
Yeah,
chit.
Chitting.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Question on the PGR: How tight is the window on when you apply it? Like, do you have a week window kind of thing that you can make it work, or is it a pretty precise thing to get the timing right?
Yeah, it's something that's fairly precise. Not maybe so much as far as crop injury goes. Like, I'm by no means an expert, but if it's a tighter window to make sure that it does its job. Right. So something I learned this winter, at actually a grower meeting that our maltster puts on every year. They had a Syngenta rep there, and he was talking specifically about Modus. And one takeaway for me was that I hadn't heard before. Like, you're not supposed to mix it with your herbicide, but because of that tight window, sometimes you're forced into doing things like that. And he basically stated that mixing certain wild oat chemicals and certain broadleaf chemicals, and he named two specifically, and that was the exact tank mix that we use on our barley, that they actually antagonize the Modus from doing its job. So it's not that you're going to cause crop injury. You're not going to see a lodging reduction that you would want. So we had a field last year that was corner to corner pancake flat, and I knew I sprayed it a little on the early side because the rest of the fields were ready, and you're looking for that node to emerge. Yep. So that first node. So it's a little tougher than looking for the fourth leaf or something like that you can see once it's coming. Like, the nodes, it was not there yesterday, and today it's there. So now today it's ready to spray. So it's really hard to plan your spray window because it's not something that we've consistently watched for. So I'm not really good at saying, oh, this crop is 3 leaf, 1 tiller. That means I'll probably see the node in 4 days. So
it's a lot.
You're looking for something, and then boom, it shows up. Now it's time to spray. So you're waiting till a very late stage for your herbicide to try to target the ideal timing for the PGR. So basically they told us that, nope, you should be doing your wild oat chemical 7 days before. They'd like to see 7 days so that the plant can metabolize it. Because my understanding is when it's increased metabolism, when it's working through the herbicides, that's what's breaking down the Modus quicker. So then it's not doing its job. So, other products, like I asked the folks that make manipulator, because they say you can tank mix it. They said, no, it's not an issue for that product, but Modus tends to work better on barley. So one thing we're going to do different this year is we'll do our herbicide application at that normal time and spray the PGR in a separate pass. Yeah. Which kind of sucks because that's just one more crop now that we basically got to run the sprayer over twice. So it seems that we can't ever get out of that damn thing, but
It is if you don't like driving the sprayer, goodness, because it definitely sees the most acres. That's for darn sure. So yeah. But I mean, at the same time, it does mean by doing it that way, it means you're doing ideal timing for your weed pass and ideal timing for your PGR. So if it eliminates any antagonism, that's probably worth it.
Yep.
So away you go.
Yeah, and that's right. Yeah. We're rolling the dice, waiting that long too.
Absolutely. All right. For this week's question, it is Easter this weekend. My question is all about Easter chocolate because that's what's important, really, right? Yep. So, Easter bunny, solid or hollow? Which is your favorite?
Oh, it's got to be solid. The Hollow Bunny, you feel like you got ripped off.
Okay. And Easter cream eggs or mini eggs? Which one's your fave out of the two?
The cream eggs.
Oh.
The cream eggs, for sure.
The sugar bomb. Got it.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. I like it. I'll add it to the list. Okay, Scott, safe travels today.
Yep. Talk to you later.
And with that, another Farmer Rapid Fire comes to a close. This is the end of the show. Check us out tomorrow, 4:30 Eastern, right here, Rural Radio, Channel 147. We will be back with a issues panel. Kelvin Hepner, Sean Haney, your regular host, will be here. So check us out then. Until then, take care, everybody.
Thank you for downloading this episode of RealAg Radio, brought to you by high-performing new carbine insecticide from FMC. New carbine insecticide hits aphids hard with effective, selective, and extended control. It also has activity on ligus and tarnished plant bugs. Ask your retailer today.